Well, a helicopter has just been spotted over the San Francisco Stadium, where the Super Bowl is scheduled to take place on Sunday. Now, this particular helicopter just so happens to be a nuke sniffer. Is this something we should worry about, or is this something that's done standard as a precautionary? Well, I've got a lot to share with you in today's broadcast. Not only that, but I also want to show you a rather disgusting statement from Congressman Nadler. I hate to say this, but I mean, the poop your pants Nadler. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. You might want to look it up. It's very, very sad. All I can see is him moving like a penguin. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. But I've got a lot to share with you in today's broadcast. Let's start first with what is going on with this helicopter. Take a look at this. And this is on the Sun, and it's Super Scouting Energy 14 nuke sniffing helicopter spotted scouting San Francisco ahead of the Super Bowl as security is ramped up. A special security aircraft has been spotted above San Francisco, and the city is ramping up security ahead of the Super Bowl in just a few days. Energy 14 is a special nuke sniffing helicopter that's been deployed to San Francisco. It is operated by the National Nuclear Security Administration to detect a map of radiation. The helicopter is part of a fleet of vehicles that make up NNSA's Nuclear Emergency Support Team. They are used for surveillance ahead of high-profile events just like the Super Bowl. It has been flying over San Francisco in low-flying patterns to detect traces of radioactive activity. The flights begin on Monday and will conclude on Wednesday. This is merely a precautionary exercise. So the short answer is yes, it has happened at Super Bowls before. I believe New Orleans was one of those, and any of the big events that they are worried about. But there's a little more to the story that I think you guys need to know. But real quick, I got to give a shout out to my sponsor, Noble Gold Investments at lisahavengold.com. Look, something is brewing. You can feel it. The problem, you never know the full story until after it happens. After the crash, it's just too late. And here's the brutal truth. You cannot protect yourself after, so you really have to be ready right now. With all this uncertainty, the chaos, the warning signs, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's just noise, but maybe it is the beginning of something truly bigger. Physical gold and silver are not just investments, they're preparations and they're foundational, real protections. This is why I want to encourage you. Give Noble Gold Investments a call right now at 1-877-646-5347 because they can help you protect yourself for decades as they've helped myself and others. Or go to lisahavengold.com and fill out this information. Click email me my wealth kit and they'll send you a free wealth protection kit. And by the way, make sure you mention my name. They are giving away this awesome 3-ounce silver virtue coin with any new and qualified account. So make sure you bring up my name. And by the way, there's always a risk to investing. There's never a guarantee. All right. So with that, kind of diving into this whole thing, here's the deal. Yes, they're taking precautions, thankfully so, with these helicopters flying overhead, sniffing for nukes. Now, I really wish that they would do it a little sooner to the Super Bowl. I mean, Wednesday seems a little far off from Sunday. I would like a little bit more. You never know, just in case. I think all the precautions we can take are very, very important, right? So it's nothing to be worried about. This is something that's standard done. I know there's a lot of rumors and fake news out there, but I wanted to dispel those rumors. But on top of that, let me show you some of the stuff showing some of the actual footage on this helicopter. San Francisco getting its first nuke scan before the Super Bowl, and you can see the scanned area there being shared by Joe on X. And then here is SF Jet Spotter. Here's the Energy 14 nuke sniffing helicopter over the Super Bowl stadium, in preparation for this weekend. And of course, here's the map kind of where they've been conducting the sweeps in the area. So kind of that baseline there. And I'm glad they're kind of going obviously in and around. But these are some rather good precautions to take that are really good. But here's the kicker. The liberals Well, they should be worried about some kind of look, here's the other deal. I'm glad the sniffer is there, but the threats still exist. We still have threats from Iran to say go after Donald Trump, to go after his administration, to even go after Americans in general. There's always that threat. That's why I haven't really been to like big, massive events in a very long time, because there are threats internationally and there are threats domestically that we always have to take precautions for. So these are something that I think we should always keep at the forefront and be ready and prepared for, and know that it's a risk if you're going to attend things like the Super Bowl. God forbid anything happens, and I'm absolutely not saying it will. More than likely not, right? But in this environment where we're not exactly on good terms with, say, Russia, China, and Iran, maybe even Cuba right now, we may want to take a little extra precaution, especially when we have alerts that we can't fly to certain countries because we're at odds with them. So just something to think about. But what's interesting is the left liberals are not worried about any of that at all. In fact, all they're worried about, and you're going to laugh, is ICE being at the Super Bowl. Now, before I dive in, I want to tell you guys, I started up my channel again on, my mouse isn't currently working. I started up my channel again. Let me show you this. And this is on my backup channel. I want to encourage you guys to check it out. It's called Lisa Report. Please go there and subscribe to the new channel. I've been actually putting content on there that I'm not posting here. So get there, watch the exclusive content. And what I'm trying to do with Lisa Report, I'm highly suppressed here. Unfortunately, they really have attacked my channel. I get, anywhere from 7,000 clicks to 15,000 now on average for a channel. That's 500,000. They're not sending out the notifications. So I'm hoping that these notifications will get out on Lisa Report. So please subscribe there. I'll leave a link in the description box for that. But with that, kind of back on what the liberals are really worried about. They are freaking out about ICE potentially being there. This is insane. I've never seen such a panic and freak out. It's insane. But I'm going to show you a couple news articles on it. This is ABS-CBN. No, U.S. immigration agents at Super Bowl, according to security chief. NFL says ICE not among federal agencies at Super Bowl. Here we have another one, Daily Saba. NFL assures fans ICE is not going to be at Super Bowl. And then The Athletic, NFL security says there are no planned ICE operations. And if you actually Google, by the way, Super Bowl 2026 security, and you actually plug this in, right? I want you to see what pops up. ICE not planning, ICE not coming, ICE not coming, ICE not coming, ICE not coming. Everything's ICE. They don't even mention the helicopter, but nonetheless, this seems to be an issue. But you know what's really crazy is, here's the deal. I don't even know why they're caving on this other than liberal stupidity. But ICE has been at Super Bowls before, but not, by the way, to go after and round up illegal immigrants. They're simply there helping do security. That's what they normally go for, just to help with security. And this year, they're like, nah, we don't need the extra security. And I would say to that, are you effing stupid? Because we need all the security we could get at the Super Bowl. So if ICE wants to help, come along. But the liberals don't pay attention to any of that. They're like, oh, they're going to arrest an American citizen and put them in a concentration camp, which is fake news. But that's literally what they believe. But they have been before to Super Bowls. This is a Super Bowl, right, in the past, the Super Bowl 54. Why is ICE at the Super Bowl? Well, ICE and HSI have been constantly present at Super Bowls for many years, having built and maintained a successful partnership with the National Football League. This year, right, HSI personnel in Miami will work with a range of local federal law enforcement to provide essential public safety measures. Wow. The illegal manufacture and sale of counterfeit goods is one of the primary concerns of HSI, as it is for U.S. Custom and Border Patrol. So this is actually what they were looking for, looking for counterfeits, looking for fake tickets, looking for all of that. And here's another Super Bowl they attended, ICE at Super Bowl 53. And actually, there's like 3 or 4 others that I know of off the top of my hand, but U.S. immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and HSI have executed their own plan in helping the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, right? It was the culmination of more than 2 years of planning and a week of execution in which men and women of ICE and HSI work alongside law enforcement, right, partners as part of a massive collaborative security effort, to keep the public safe from things like terrorist threats, which we have, economic fraud, transnational crime, and a host of other activities. It's just ludicrous that these stupid liberals, and the NFL right now is cowing to it, right? They're cowing down to it. And they're like, yeah, we can't have ICE there. God forbid they help protect us. They don't go there to round up illegal immigrants. At least that's not what they have done in the past. It's more for aid and help, kind of like the National Guard when we need it. For extra big events, this is ludicrous. Just think about that. So in other words, our Super Bowl, and this is the extra information, is a little less safe than it has been in normal years without ICE there. But you can thank the liberals at NFL for that. But meanwhile, speaking of liberals, Poop Your Pants Nadler had something really crappy to say. And I want you to hear what he said for yourself because I want you to make your assessment. But here this was shared by Gunther Eagleman. And here's what he said. Take a listen.
We could easily solve our balanced budget problems by simply repealing the taxes, the tax cuts on millionaires and billionaires enacted over the last 10 years. But what is really the major problem in this country today is the fascism in our streets.
Ooh.
The attacks on American citizens.
That's not happening.
By masked hoodlums. If you were attacked by a masked person, you might think you were being kidnapped. You'd be justified in shooting the person.
Woo!
To protect yourself. But we see people being...
Wow. If you were attacked by a masked person, you might think you're being kidnapped and you might be justified, or no, you would be justified, excuse me, let me quote him correctly, in shooting that person to protect yourself. In other words, if ICE comes at you with a mask, feel free to shoot him. This is what I gather. Why is he not in trouble? This is people who are trying to protect us from rapists and murderers and criminals that have been on our streets harassing American citizens. They're not rounding up U.S. citizens, for crying out loud. I'm so sick of hearing that. I am tired of it. Not one American citizen has been deported. Yeah, they've been detained. It happens. It's happened every year since ICE has been an agency, I think since 2003. Things happen, right? And they let them go because a lot of the times there's Americans that are like, I'm not going to tell you who I am. Well, then we're going to have to take you until we find out. It's the way it works. Right. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you. This guy is a sick person. That's why I don't mind giving him the nickname. But anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning into the broadcast. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.